Have you ever pushed a door marked pull, and for a frustrating moment, found yourself stuck outside looking in? In that brief second, you're at odds with the very mechanics of how things work. Now imagine if that wasn't just a door, but your approach to life. The world we live in today praises the go-getters, the shakers, the ones who make things happen. But what if I told you that the secret to inner peace and outer success doesn't lie in the force of effort, but in the graceful art of letting things unfold? This isn't about inaction, it's about a strategic effort, the kind that aligns with the rhythm of the universe rather than scrambling against it. At first glance, this might sound like a call to passive existence, an invitation to drift aimlessly on the tides of fate. But as we'll see, there is a profound strength in understanding the difference between effort and force, between taking action and trying to control the uncontrollable. This is the Stoic perspective, a philosophy that has stood the test of millennia, still as relevant now as it was in the days of the Roman Empire. But who were these Stoics, and what have they taught us about effort and force? Stoicism is not merely a set of doctrines but a way of life, a blueprint for living in harmony with nature's laws and our own inner virtues. The Stoics, including great minds like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, were not concerned with academic debates but with practical wisdom. They believed in the power of reason, the importance of virtue, and the acceptance of fate. Consider Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, who by day led legions and governed an empire, and by night penned reflections that would become immortalized in his meditations. He writes, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about your neighbors, unless it is to effect some good for them. No, rather, while there is still time, go within and weigh up your own measure." Here, in the quiet recesses of his thoughts, Marcus Aurelius reminds us of the futility of trying to force our will upon the world. Instead, he invites us to turn inward, to cultivate our character, and to let our efforts flow from a place of inner alignment with nature's course. Or take Seneca, the statesman and philosopher, who observed the ebb and flow of fortune with the keen eye of a scholar and the heart of a poet. He mused, "Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant," encapsulating the essence of our topic today. What a striking image, that of life's currents, either gently guiding us or forcefully pulling us along. Seneca's words encourage us to discern when to exert effort and when to yield, to understand that there is a time to row with all our might, and a time to raise our oars and let the river carry us forward. This distinction between effort and force is critical. Effort is aligned with purpose and direction. It's rowing downstream, moving with the current of our own nature and the nature of the world. Force, on the other hand, is rowing against the tide, exhausting ourselves in the vain attempt to bend the river to our will. The former is rooted in wisdom and strength, the latter in a misunderstanding of our place within the grand tapestry of existence. But how does one distinguish between the two? How do we know when to strive and when to surrender? This is the crux of our exploration today. It's about understanding the signs of force, the tension in our bodies, the frustration in our minds, the sense of fighting an uphill battle against the relentless forces of life. It's also about recognizing the signs of true effort, the feeling of being in the zone, the satisfaction of doing our best without attachment to the outcome, the peace that comes with knowing we have acted with virtue, regardless of the results. To truly grasp this concept, we must immerse ourselves in the natural flow of life. We'll examine how the Stoics lived by this flow, how they embraced destiny while also exercising their will, how they took action without becoming ensnared by the fruits of their actions. We'll explore the balance they struck between shaping their lives and accepting life's unfolding narrative. We'll look at modern examples too, because this isn't just an ancient philosophy to be admired from afar. It's a living, breathing guide that can influence how we lead our lives today. How do we set goals in a way that's grounded in the art of allowing? How do we pursue relationships without clinging too tightly to our expectations? How do we advance in our careers without becoming consumed by ambition? Our exploration will take us through these questions and beyond. We'll dig into practical steps to integrate the Stoic art of allowing into our daily lives. We'll talk about recognizing what is and isn't within our control, about the joy that comes from aligning with the natural course of events, and about the liberation in letting go of the compulsion to force life to conform to our will. In the words of Epictetus, "No great thing is created suddenly. This wisdom is our compass as we navigate the space between action and inaction, between making things happen and letting them happen." It's a reminder that the most profound changes in our lives and in ourselves often come not from the force of our will, but from the patience of our effort. Venturing further into the essence of our narrative, we confront the concept of forcing things. To force is to push against the natural rhythm of events and experiences with a kind of blind determination that often ignores the realities at play. It is an attempt to impose our will, to control outcomes, and to manipulate the path of life so that it conforms to our personal goals and desires. This endeavor, while rooted in the pursuit of success, often leads us astray from the path of wisdom. Imagine standing at the river's edge. Your objective lies on the opposite bank. Forcing things would be akin to plunging into the water, swimming against the current, expending energy with every stroke, fighting the river every step of the way. It is possible that you might reach the other side, but at what cost? Your strength is depleted, your spirit wearied, and you are left wondering if there might have been a better way, a bridge, a boat, or a smoother passage downstream. Now let's turn our gaze inward to the psychological and emotional landscapes within us. When we force things, what occurs in the realm of our minds and hearts? There is a tightness, a constriction that comes with trying to control the uncontrollable. It manifests as stress, the body's alarm system, signaling that something is not right. Anxiety follows, a sense of dread that shadows our every move, whispering of all that could go wrong. And if left unchecked, this state of constant strain leads to burnout, a deep and profound exhaustion that dims the light of our spirit and the sharpness of our intellect. In our society, where the cult of achievement reigns supreme, these symptoms are often worn as badges of honor. Long hours, sleepless nights, and unyielding pressure are heralded as the hallmarks of dedication. Yet, this is a misunderstanding of what true dedication and achievement entail. The Stoics would look upon this and shake their heads, for they understood that working against nature, both the nature of the world and our own nature, is folly. The Stoic virtue lies in working with nature, not against it. It is in recognizing the flow of the cosmos and aligning ourselves with it. This does not mean we abandon our goals or relinquish our dreams. Rather, we pursue them with an understanding of the appropriate means and timing. It is to know when to plant and when to harvest, when to speak and when to remain silent, when to act and when to wait. Stoicism teaches us to apply our efforts wisely, to exert our energies in harmony with the cycles of change and growth. It counsels us to focus on our own actions and attitudes, the true areas where we possess power. This is not a passive resignation, but an active engagement with life, tempered by the wisdom to accept what we cannot change. To work with nature, one must understand it, and this begins with self-knowledge. The Stoic practice of self-examination, reflecting on one's thoughts, emotions, and actions, is a tool for this purpose. It helps us identify when we are pushing too hard, when we are being driven by fear, pride, or desire rather than reason and virtue. Consider the farmer who understands the seasons. He does not plant in winter, not because he is idle, but because he knows the land must rest and that seeds grow best when sown at the right time. In our lives, just like the farmer, we must discern our seasons, read the signs of our internal and external environments, and act accordingly. There is grace in patience, in allowing things to develop in their own time. The oak tree does not rush to tower above the forest. It grows steadily year by year, in accordance with the inherent pattern embedded within its acorn heart. So too must our ambitions and efforts unfold according to the pattern of who we are and the circumstances we inhabit. This brings us to the realm of our practical lives, where each day presents countless opportunities to choose between forcing and flowing. It is in the projects we undertake at work, the relationships we nurture, the personal goals we set for health, learning, and growth. To approach these endeavors from a Stoic perspective is to engage with them wholeheartedly, applying our talents and energies, but with a mind open to the outcomes, whatever they may be. To practice this art, we must be vigilant, constantly monitoring our inner state for the tension of force. We must be courageous, willing to let go when we find ourselves gripping too tightly to a predetermined outcome. And we must be compassionate, granting ourselves the kindness to stumble, to learn, and to grow without the harshness of self-imposed demands. As we advance in this discussion, remember the wisdom of the Stoics, to live in agreement with nature. This is not the path of least resistance, it is the path of true resistance, the kind that shapes stones and carves canyons, the resistance that, through patience and persistence, aligns with the forces of life to create enduring beauty and strength. This is the resistance that understands the power of water flowing over rock, the steady and gentle insistence that, over time, reshapes even the hardest of obstacles. In seeking further comprehension of the Stoic philosophy, one must traverse the realms of history, uncovering the roots that have nourished this enduring wisdom. The ancient Stoics perceived the world as an interconnected web, governed by a divine reason they termed logos. Within this cosmic fabric, they believed that the only true control we possess is over our faculties of judgment and action, while all else lies outside our domain in the hands of fate or providence. This understanding shaped their approach to life, embracing what occurs with equanimity and focusing their efforts on personal virtue and wisdom. The Stoics did not advocate for passivity, rather they called for an active participation in life, tempered with the acceptance that outcomes are not ours to dictate. This balance between control and acceptance is the golden thread woven through the tapestry of Stoic thought. One of the most compelling historical anecdotes illustrating this Stoic acceptance is the tale of Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism. Legend has it that Zeno was a prosperous merchant until a shipwreck near Athens stripped him of his wealth. It was this twist of fate that led him to the Stoic philosophy, studying under crates of Thebes, and eventually developing his philosophical system that espoused inner peace through the acceptance of fate. The shipwreck that could have been perceived as a catastrophic event became the catalyst for Zeno's philosophical enlightenment. It's an exemplar of the Stoic attitude, transforming misfortune into opportunity, perceiving obstacles as the raw material for growth. Zeno's loss of external possessions led him to discover the internal wealth of wisdom, virtue, and tranquility. Let's fast forward to the present day and consider the applicability of these historical lessons in our modern context. Today, we navigate a world of unprecedented complexity and change, where the illusion of control is amplified by technology and the pace of innovation. Yet, the essence of what we can truly govern remains unchanged: our thoughts, our choices, and our reactions. The modern allure of control can be seen in the countless tools and systems designed to optimize every aspect of our lives, from sleep to productivity. We schedule, we plan, we track, often forgetting that despite our best efforts, life has a way of unfolding in unexpected patterns. The Stoic teachings remind us that it is not the plan itself, but our attachment to the plan that often leads to turmoil. In the contemporary sphere of influence, from business leaders to sports coaches, the Stoic principle of focusing on the process rather than the outcome has been celebrated and adopted. It is recognized that excellence results from the quality of our actions, not from the anxious preoccupation with results. By applying Stoic wisdom, we learn to invest our energy in the present task with full commitment, leaving the results to unfold as they will. The narrative of the Stoic acceptance of fate is also visible in the stories of many historical figures, who, despite facing adversity, channeled their experiences into positive change. In our own lives, the relevance of Stoicism is equally profound. We encounter daily challenges and obstacles, some minor and some life-altering. The Stoic practice of differentiating between what we can control and what we must accept helps us navigate these trials with a steadier heart and a clearer mind. It encourages us to focus our efforts on our response, our integrity, and our purpose, rather than on the capricious elements of chance and circumstance. Moreover, Stoicism provides a moral compass in an age often characterized by moral relativism. It offers a framework for personal development that emphasizes character over fame, virtue over success, and wisdom over knowledge. By applying these principles, we anchor ourselves in a philosophy that values the content of our character above the contingencies of our lives. In times of crisis, whether personal or collective, the Stoic teachings shine brightly as beacons of resilience. The Stoic virtue of courage is not about the absence of fear, but about the ability to persist despite fear. It is about facing a world in flux with a soul rooted in the bedrock of virtue, ready to adapt, to accept, and to overcome. Thus, the Stoic wisdom of allowing things to happen, of acknowledging the role of fate while committing to virtuous action, is not a relic of the past, but a living, breathing guide for the present. It invites us into a dance with destiny, where we lead with our virtues, follow with our acceptance, and create a harmony that echoes the Stoic sages of old. This harmony, timeless and profound, reminds us that within the chaos of life's currents, we possess the power to cultivate an inner sanctuary of peace and strength. As we move through the chronicles of history, from Zeno's shipwreck to the trials and triumphs of our own times, the Stoic philosophy remains a steadfast friend. It does not call us to shrink from life's battles, but to engage with them more wisely, with the steadiness of heart and the serenity of a mind attuned to the wisdom of ages. Through the lens of Stoicism, we learn that the art of letting things happen is not about surrender, but about a deeper conquest, the conquest of self-mastery, of virtue, and of a life lived in harmonious accord with the world's unfolding song. Delving into the rich fabric of Stoic wisdom, we arrive at a pivotal juncture, the philosophy of action without force. This is not an admonition against action itself, but rather against the attachment to the fruits of our actions. It's a delicate balancing act, one that requires us to engage with the world fully, exerting ourselves in the pursuits we deem worthy, while simultaneously releasing our grip on the expectations of what these pursuits should yield. In the Stoic view, action is essential. We are participants in the tapestry of life, and our choices, our movements, are the threads by which we contribute to the ever-evolving picture. Yet, Stoics distinguish sharply between taking action, which is under our control, and forcing an outcome, which is not. We are encouraged to pour our efforts into the former, and to cultivate a graceful detachment from the latter. When we take action, we are active agents, moving with intention and purpose. We are planting seeds of effort, care, and skill. But once planted, the growth of these seeds, the outcomes, are subject to innumerable factors beyond our ken: the weather, the soil's fertility, the passing of time. To force an outcome is to stand over the seedlings, pulling at them, demanding that they grow faster, taller, stronger. It's not only futile, it's likely to damage the very growth we seek to foster. This concept might be crystallized in the image of an archer from Stoic texts. The archer pulls back the string, aims with concentration, and releases the arrow. His job is done in the moment of release, where the arrow lands is no longer in his hands. It may be swayed by the wind, it may strike a moving target, or it may fall short. The archer's tranquility lies in his skillful action, not in the pride or disappointment of the arrow's flight. Stoicism, in its embrace of action without attachment to the outcome, finds an intriguing parallel in the Eastern philosophy of Taoism, particularly in the concept of Wu Wei. Translated as non-doing or effortless action, Wu Wei is the art of flowing with life's natural currents. It is acting in accordance with the Tao, the way of the universe, which moves effortlessly and spontaneously. It doesn't mean not acting at all. Rather, it implies action that does not involve struggle or excessive effort. Wu Wei is about alignment with the rhythms of nature, about understanding when to act and when to remain still, when to exert force and when to yield. This is not a resignation from action, but an invitation to a higher form of engagement, one that is intuitive, harmonious, and in tune with the essence of the world around us. Just as a tree doesn't strain to grow, but does so naturally, Wu Wei teaches us to apply our energies where they will be most effective and to refrain from wasteful expenditures of force. It's an acknowledgement that the universe has its flow, its own intricate patterns and wisdom, and that our true power lies in becoming attuned to these, moving with them rather than against them. Drawing on Wu Wei, we can learn to recognize the difference between taking action and trying to force an outcome. Taking action is planting the tree, watering it, tending to it with care. Forcing an outcome is the anxiety that comes from watching the tree every day, worrying about its growth, being attached to how and when it will bear fruit. In our personal lives, this might translate to doing our best at our jobs, in our relationships, and in our self-development, without becoming attached to how these efforts will be received or what they will produce. This detachment doesn't diminish the quality of our action. In fact, it might enhance it. When we are not fixated on outcomes, we can be more present, more attentive, and more aligned with the task at hand. The resonance between Stoicism and Taoism in this aspect is profound. Both philosophies counsel us to let go of the need to control and to trust in the process of life. They remind us that there is a wisdom to the unfolding of events that we, with our limited perspective, cannot fully comprehend, and so they teach us to act with integrity, do our part, and then step back, allowing the world to do its own. These philosophical threads converge on a simple yet powerful truth: that peace comes not from controlling the outcomes of our actions, but from knowing that we have acted rightly to the best of our ability and with good intent. This is the heart of action without force, a heart that beats steadily, calmly, resonating with the timeless wisdom that has guided countless souls through the tumults of history. In applying these principles to our contemporary lives, we find a pathway to a more serene and effective existence. We learn to distinguish between the healthy exertion of effort and the unhealthy obsession with control. We learn to set goals, to strive, and to let go. And in this letting go, we find a new kind of strength, the strength of adaptability, of resilience, and of a deep, abiding harmony with the way things are. It is here, in the union of Stoic resolve and Taoist fluidity, that we discover the art of action without force, a dance with life that is as powerful as it is peaceful, as productive as it is liberating. The Stoic teachings offer profound lessons on the art of letting go, providing us with a guide to living a life that is both purposeful and tranquil. Let's explore in greater depth how the Stoic wisdom can be applied to our modern lives. Epictetus provides a fundamental Stoic lesson, the distinction between what we can control and what we cannot. This discernment is the bedrock of Stoic peace of mind. Some things are within our power while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and in a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power are our body, our property, reputation, office, and in a word, whatever is not of our own doing. In a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable, understanding and embracing this dichotomy can be transformative. Imagine living with the constant recognition that our efforts are best placed on our inner world, the realm of our own decisions, judgments, and reactions. This is where true agency lies. By accepting this, we can conserve our energy, no longer dissipating it in futile attempts to control the uncontrollable. It's like sailing. A skilled sailor doesn't waste time lamenting the direction of the wind, but instead adjusts the sails and steers accordingly. In practical terms, this means focusing on our responses to situations, not the situations themselves. It's about preparing ourselves for the various outcomes of our actions, understanding that success is not in the achievement itself, but in the effort well applied. When we apply this in our lives, we begin to let go of the frustration that comes with disrupted plans and unforeseen obstacles, and we start to move through life with a steadier, more resilient pace. Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, takes this concept further with the doctrine of amor fati, love of one's fate. This profound acceptance goes beyond mere endurance. It's a joyous embrace of all that life offers, both the triumphs and the tragedies. What if we welcomed everything that happened to us as if we had chosen it ourselves? It's a radical shift in perspective, turning every moment into something of value, an opportunity for growth and reflection. This doesn't mean being passive or resigned to suffering. It means seeing the potential in whatever occurs. Marcus's insights can lead us to find beauty in the inevitable cycles of life. He encourages us to look at the whole of which we are a part, to understand our place within the greater order of things. This broader view can free us from the myopia that magnifies our troubles and blinds us to the possibilities contained within them. In embracing our fate, we are not giving up on making things better. Instead, we're committing to move forward with a kind of optimistic pragmatism. It's the practice of taking each moment as it comes and infusing it with our best selves, not because it guarantees a certain outcome, but because it is the most authentic way to live. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Life is long enough, and a sufficiently generous amount has been given to us for the highest achievements if it were all well invested. Seneca's musings on time provide a vital Stoic lesson on the importance of prioritization and focus. He prompts us to consider the scarcity of time and the folly of wasting it on the inconsequential. His admonitions against the squandering of time are a call to action for mindful living. We live in an era filled with distractions, where our attention is a currency in high demand. Seneca's advice takes on new meaning when we consider how modern technologies can lead us to inadvertently waste vast amounts of this precious resource. What would it look like if we applied his wisdom today? It would mean a conscientious effort to let go of the trivial, the endless scroll through social media, the preoccupation with the lives of others, the worry over things beyond our control. Instead, we can choose to use our time in pursuits that enrich our souls and better our world. This could involve deepening our relationships, cultivating our talents, or contributing to our communities. It's a call to let go of the superficial and to engage deeply with the essence of life. The Stoic practice of letting go is not about disengagement from the world. Rather, it is about engaging with it more meaningfully. It is not about indifference, but about discernment, the ability to differentiate between what truly matters and what doesn't. It is not about the absence of action, but about purposeful action guided by wisdom. By internalizing the lessons of these Stoic philosophers, we learn to let go of the illusion of control, the resistance to our reality, and the distractions that sap our time. In their place, we cultivate acceptance, purpose, and focus, enriching our lives and allowing us to navigate the world with grace and equanimity. In doing so, we honor the Stoic legacy, turning their timeless wisdom into a living practice that continues to resonate across the ages. Incorporating the philosophy of non-force into the minutiae of daily life is akin to learning a new language, the language of deliberate calmness and measured response. It is a subtle art that requires practice, patience, and a conscious recalibration of our habitual reactions. We will traverse practical strategies that weave the threads of non-force into the fabric of everyday existence, allowing its philosophy to permeate our actions and interactions. First, let us consider the morning ritual, a daily tableau for setting the tone. Instead of leaping into the day with a frenzy of activity, we might begin with a moment of stillness. This could be a short meditation, a few minutes of deep breathing, or simply sitting with a cup of tea, anchoring ourselves in the present. The objective is to cultivate a space where we can acknowledge the day's potential without the compulsion to steer it forcibly. Moving into the day, one might adopt the practice of mindful pauses. Before commencing a new task, entering a meeting, or even responding to an email, we take a brief pause to assess our state of being. Are we acting out of compulsion or choice? Are we about to force an outcome, or are we prepared to do our best and let the results unfold? These mindful pauses become checkpoints that reinforce the discipline of non-forcing. Another exercise lies in the realm of communication. When engaging in conversation, we can practice active listening, giving space to the other person's words and resisting the urge to impose our narrative or desired conclusion. This creates a dynamic where dialogue flows naturally, without the coercion of preconceived agendas. To build the discipline of non-forcing, we can also engage in reflection at the end of each day. A journal can serve as a powerful tool here, allowing us to revisit our actions and attitudes. Did we push too hard in any situation? Could we have approached a problem with a lighter touch? This reflection is not about self-reproach, but about learning and recalibrating for the days ahead. In terms of habits, we might cultivate the art of strategic yielding. This involves recognizing moments when resistance is less effective than flexibility. Like the willow tree that bends in the storm but does not break, strategic yielding is about identifying the strength in adaptability. This could mean deferring a decision when emotions are high, yielding the floor in a debate to gather more information, or simply opting to take a walk when a work problem seems insurmountable. Furthermore, we can embrace practices that encourage a letting go mindset, such as yoga or tai chi, which synchronize movement and breath, teaching us to move with intention but without unnecessary tension. The physical act of releasing tension in the body can be a metaphor for releasing psychological tension and the need to control. Now, let us turn our attention to the balancing act of effort with surrender. It is a dance between doing and being, exerting and resting. The key lies in our focus. When we concentrate on the process, the doing, rather than the outcome, we find a rhythm that honors both effort and ease. We work wholeheartedly, yet we remain inwardly detached from the fruits of our work. In practice, this might look like setting goals and working toward them with dedication, but regularly reminding ourselves of the larger context. Our worth is not defined by our successes or failures. It could also involve setting boundaries around our work, acknowledging that rest and recuperation are as vital as the work itself. Moreover, in the ebb and flow of professional life, we can apply the principle of non-force by being discerning about our battles. Not every situation requires our intervention. Sometimes the most strategic move is to step back and allow situations to resolve themselves, conserving our energy for matters where we can truly make a difference. To marry the notion of effort with surrender, we can adopt a twofold approach: proactive patience and reactive resilience. Proactive patience is the effort put forth in planning, preparation, and execution, coupled with the patience to let events unfold at their own pace. Reactive resilience is the capacity to bounce back from unexpected outcomes, using them as opportunities for growth rather than reasons for despair. The integration of non-force into our daily lives is not an abandonment of action or ambition. It is instead a more sophisticated engagement with both. It calls us to act with intention, guided by wisdom rather than whim, influenced by purpose rather than impatience. As we embody these practices, the philosophy of non-force transcends concept and becomes lived experience, a serene confluence of effort and surrender that shapes a life of depth, balance, and fulfillment. As we reach the conclusion of our journey together through the philosophy of non-force and the art of letting things happen, let us take a moment to reflect on the ground we've covered. We embarked on this voyage guided by the wisdom of the Stoics, learning to discern between effort and force, understanding that while we can plant seeds with intention, the blossoming occurs not at our command, but in its own time and way. We recognize the telltale signs of forcing, stress, anxiety, and burnout, and contrasted these with the serene strength that comes from working in harmony with nature's rhythms. Our exploration took us through history, walking in the footsteps of Zeno and other Stoics who exemplified the virtue of acceptance in the face of life's unpredictable tempests. We considered the lessons from their experiences and the modern-day relevance of an unforced approach to life's challenges. The concept of Wu Wei from Taoism entered our conversation, enriching our understanding of action without attachment, and we found common ground between these ancient philosophies, realizing that effort can be exerted without the tension of force. We delved into the psychological effects of letting go, appreciating the mental health benefits that unfold when we cease to strain against the current of existence. We discussed how letting go has the power to reduce stress and improve our overall well-being, with research and personal anecdotes bolstering this transformative perspective. In the realm of practical application, we provided tools for integrating non-force into daily life. We spoke of mindful pauses, reflective journaling, the practice of active listening, and the cultivation of strategic yielding. we examined the intricate dance between effort and surrender, encouraging a focus on the process over the outcome, proactive patience, and reactive resilience. And now, as we wrap up our dialogue, it's my hope that you feel inspired to practice the art of letting things happen. The path is laid out before you, not as a rigid track to be followed with forceful strides, but as a meandering trail to be walked with a sense of wonder and openness. Each step is an opportunity to apply the principles we've discussed, to experiment with the space between action and allow, and to discover the liberating power that comes from an inner posture of release. As you go forth, remember that this is not a call to passivity, but an invitation to a more profound engagement with life. It is about aligning with the flow of events, rather than colliding with them. It is the art of shaping without forcing, of influencing without overpowering, and of living with a deep and abiding sense of peace that comes from the recognition that, while we play our part, the universe has its rhythms, and wisdom lies in moving with them, not against them. Embrace this art of letting things happen, and watch as your life transforms, not because you exerted force upon it, but because you allowed it to unfold in its own beautiful, unpredictable, and perfect pattern.